The country's military leader, General Abdurrahman Tiani, has authorized Burkina Faso and Mali to intervene on its territory in case of any attack. Now, this all comes as the West African Political and Economic Group of Nations, or ECOWAS, is now threatening a military intervention to restore civilian rule in the country. Since a July 26th military takeover, ECOWAS has been trying to negotiate with the coup leaders to stand down and hand power back to the ousted President Mohamed Bazoum. In a joint statement with Niger, the Burkinabe and Malian foreign ministers stated their rejection of an armed intervention in Niger, terming it a declaration of war. Well, just like Niger, the two nations are ruled by military leaders who overthrew their governments in recent years. Well, let's now delve further into this. We're joined by David Otto-Endeley. He's the director for Geneva Centre for Africa Security and Strategic Studies. He's based in Abuja, Nigeria. Great to have you with us, Mr. Otto-Endeley. Now, first and foremost, what is your take on this move to authorize Mali and Burkina Faso's armed forces, of course, to intervene on its territory in case of an attack? How significant is that move, really?
Well, very significant. Uche, we're talking about strategic level of engagement here between Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. We haven't seen any kind of, movement of troops, or some kind of an operational movement of equipment between these countries yet. So this is the first level that came after Burkina Faso and Mali had declared previously that any attack on Niger by ECOWAS would be a declaration of war. Remember, these are ECOWAS member states. An ECOWAS Commission of Chiefs of Defense had made it clear when they met lastly in Accra, Ghana. They made it very clear that the declaration, the intervention using military is still on the table, even though they had made it clear at one point that they will prioritize dialogue. But as we speak, ECOWAS has rejected what the 3 years period that the Niger junta had put in place or has put in place. So it is just normal that as ECOWAS has made it clear that there is a date that has been set for an attack, that the Niger junta would respond by bringing together allies. We've also seen some recruitment going on by volunteers within Niger who are quite prepared for this kind of for an eventual intervention. But this is all an escalation, and we want to see some level of dialogue coming in at this point in time.
Well, I'm curious because the ECOWAS ambassador did say that he was optimistic of a diplomatic solution going forward. How do these developments impact that outcome? What's your take on that?
Well, my take has always been that dialogue has been prioritized or should be prioritized, but you prepare for war and aim for peace. I think this is the kind of trend that both ECOWAS and the military junta in Mali are taking at this point in time. I believe that with the last envoy, ECOWAS envoy that was sent from Nigeria, with the encounter with the military junta, but also the deposed President Bazoum, I think that meeting gave some level of hope. Now, the Niger junta did announce, General Abdurrahman Tiani did announce afterwards that a 3-year period for a transitional government will not be exceeded. But, the ECOWAS head of the commission, Abdel Fattah Musa, had also made it very clear that 3 years was not acceptable. But ECOWAS hasn't put forward, some kind of a counter date, or to say perhaps 1 year or 18 months. So there is still that, kind of a headlock between ECOWAS and the military junta at this point in time. But the general feeling in the continent and in Nigeria and other countries that have been able to speak to members of those countries is that everyone wants to see some kind of a prioritization of a peaceful dialogue between ECOWAS and the Niger junta. Nobody is actually, enjoying, the war drums that have been beaten by both ECOWAS and Niger at this point in time.